I'm a shareholder of this company and for good reason. They just put out massive drill results yet again from their new target areas, Gbongogo and also Yeré and Dioma. They're just adding seemingly ounces. I have the president with me here. It is Hugh Stuart, president of Montage Gold. Hugh, it's fantastic to see you. Congratulations on these amazing results. I'm a happy shareholder.
That's good. That's what we want to hear. I'm a happy shareholder too.
That's what I want to hear too. Fantastic. No, Hugh, fantastic results that you put out. I think we need to break them down a little bit just to make it
Yeah.
clearer because you threw in a lot of results from different areas into one release. I think we should start with Gbongogo Main and Gbongogo South. Can you run us through the results there and what's the impact?
Yeah, I mean the core holes in Gbongogo Main are sort of part of the resource and the sort of the development program for that. As you know, it has a 350,000 ounce 2 gram resource, inferred resource from the historic drilling. And we're really trying to just sort of define that resource, expand that resource, get it up to indicated level, and at the same time do things like the metallurgical work, the geotech drilling, the hydro drilling as part of the engineering side of things. So those results were, I'd like to say as expected. That the longer intercepts are down plunge, so they're allowing us to get a feel for some of the geology. There's some very high grade quartz tourmaline veins there. So the part of it was to do that. Part of it was to provide samples for met work. And then as we go through that, we're still drilling there now. Some of those holes you'll have seen as planned holes on the sections. They're in progress now. And we're going to keep drilling that with the deeper parts of the resource. We've pretty much covered the shallower area with the RC rig. And we'll keep drilling the deeper parts to see if we can add some more ounces at depth and expand it as well.
Yeah. Just to follow up on that, like how deep are you going at Koné and what's sort of your target depth there at Gbongogo? So just we can draw some reference points.
Oh, I mean, Koné's a big pit. Koné is a sort of 450-meter deep pit. I think we're drilling at about 200 meters from surface, 150, 200 meters from surface at Gbongogo. It's a smaller pit, but I think that's one of the keys with this story is we don't have to find a big deposit anymore. What we're looking for is small pits or pits with a higher grade feed, which make a significant difference to the economics of the Koné project.
Yeah.
Gbongogo is only about 40 k's, so we can haul that in. And it even just with that one, it makes a significant impact on the economics of the project.
Absolutely. One question I saw, just sort of follow up on this, is this proper infill drilling, right? It's not mentioned as infill in the release. So I just want to clarify that. And how does it fit together?
It's not really infill. The drilling on this prospect before we got there was really looking to try and define it. It wasn't particularly systematic. It was done for different reasons. So our drilling is really just systematic drill out of this resource. So it's not really infill. The area where hole 33 came from probably doesn't have any other drilling in it. There is some much deeper drilling, but it's really drilling out the resource to an indicated level. It's not really infill now. Yeah, so we're hoping to be able to extend, probably where we're drilling now, the deeper holes, we're looking to extend the resource in those areas.
Fantastic. No, that's amazing. That's quite exciting because it adds ounces potentially. That's sort of the question, and just gives you better understanding because the grade seems to be identical to the resource grade. You're just adding to it, which is fantastic. Gbongogo South, like how does that fit in? That's also 36 meters of 2.45 grams. How far is that away from Gbongogo Main?
Yeah, we got a couple of hits there. 36 at 2.5, and then there was another one at about 3 grams. These are sort of 200 and 400 meters south of Gbongogo, sitting on the same trend. We're sort of looking at it in a slightly different way. The Gbongogo is a little small intrusive pod. It's only about 200 meters by 100 meters on surface. It plunges north, and we think it's directly related to a north-south structure. It's sort of sitting very close to that. And we've mapped that structure out. We probably drove down at some of it when you were there. But we've mapped that structure out with geochemistry and with some mapping. So we were sort of focused on that north-south structure. So this area to the south of Gbongogo, it has been drilled in part in the past by Barrick and previous by Randgold. But the results were tended to be quite inconsistent. So we've taken a bit of a fresh approach. So those are the first couple of air core lines. There's a weaker air core line in the middle, but really defining that there is mineralization close to that structure, which is what we see to the north. And we've already gone in, and I think the rig's been up there down there in the last couple of days, drilling some follow-up holes to those air core hits. So we're moving pretty quickly. We have the air core, which is really just shallow reconnaissance RC, moving around quite a lot. We've got 2 of those rigs, and then we've got an RC rig, which is really just following around, and we're changing the program continuously as the results come in, and sort of prioritizing things in different ways as we see, what the results are giving us, especially from that air core program.
Absolutely. The RC rig was at Koban North when I was there, just in,
Yeah,
what was that, late February, I believe. So
yeah,
not too long ago.
Yeah, it's been moving around quite a lot. We've been up at Koban, we've been down at Diuma, Gbongogo South, and it's obviously now going to go up to Yeré in the next couple of weeks to do some follow up there.
Okay, you mentioned Diuma and Yeré North as well. We got to talk about these fantastic results as well. 27 meters of almost 9 grams in Yeré North. Explain it a little bit to us. Like, what's the meaning of it, and how does it fit in the overall story?
I think that's the key, is what does it actually mean? No, Yere's again, it's a relatively new prospect. It was only sort of discovered originally by Randgold or Barrick in about 2021. Just a couple of trenches, 3 trenches, and a couple of RC holes, but some nice trench intercepts in an intrusive. We felt the anomaly needed was a bit bigger than their work, so we've gone in with the shallow RC recon, and we've just drilled lines across it. So we've had hits, relative, where we expected to get them. And to be perfectly honest, this high grade hit, 24 meters at close to 9 grams, was slightly off trend. It does relate to an old trench intercept, but that trench intercept is not as good. So early days, and I think that's the key. We're coming into this. We've been on the ground sort of 4 or 5 months. The work at Gbongogo is going along, but things like Diuma, Yeré, they're new prospects. So it's really, it changes our program. So like I said, the RC rig will be going up to Yeré, and we'll do some follow up on that. We'll bring the air core rig back in as well to start. As you can see from the map, that's completely open north and south. So we'll get some more air core and try and build some strike length. So the key thing here is, and I think sometimes one of the more difficult things, is to turn something like that into a resource. And so that's really the focus. How can we make these higher grade intercepts, especially, into something that's meaningful to us? So again, a phased program, but we'll get after it. We'll have the RC rig up there pretty quickly now. We only got the results on Sunday morning, Saturday night, so we'll have the rig up there pretty sharpish.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, you seem to be reacting rather quickly to all the results coming in. What's the turnaround time from the lab? Just give us a hint.
It's been a bit slow. It's been sort of 3 weeks plus, but we've been working with a lab, and we've actually brought in a second lab now. So we're probably getting a couple of weeks, which allows us. I think that's the thing with exploration. You've got to modify especially with this type of exploration. When you look at the maps, we've got targets all over the place, and the job at the moment is to really cover those targets with the recon work, with mapping, with some shallow drilling, working out what is most relevant to us, and then changing the program continuously on that basis to be able to get results like you've seen today.
Absolutely. Now, how does it fit in the overall plan moving forward? Koné development plan, adding Gbongogo as well. So just put a bow around us. How does that all fit together, and what are sort of the next bigger steps?
Basically, as you know, we were ready to go, sort of start through the permitting route last year for Koné. It's the feasibility study is done to bankable level. It's a good standalone deposit. It works. However, we've always known that the upside was to the north in this ground, so it was great last year. We got the deal done. Gbongogo main on its own makes a huge difference to the economics. But we've now gone back to exploration. If we can continue to find prospects and turn them into resources, and we can pick up, several, 2, 3, 400,000 ounce satellite pits grading above 1.5 grams, that has the potential to change the Koné project significantly, turn it into a 300,000+ ounce a year producer, with economics to match. So at the moment, pushing hard on the exploration, doing the engineering work on the background on Gbongogo so we can bring it into a revised feasibility study towards the end of the year, and then really just exploring aggressively to see what else we can find.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the perfect note to end on. You fantastic update. Really appreciate the color and context around it. Next news release, I'm assuming is going to be some more drill results, correct?
I hope so. Yeah, that's the plan.
No, fantastic. Hugh, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for making the time here this afternoon. I'm sure you're busy also with broker calls and other analyst updates here as well. And everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. It was a breaking news special. We had to cover the drill results that Montage put out just this morning. The stock was halted for a little bit, but you can see why. We had 27 meters of close to 9 grams at Yeré North, for example, and more very long intercepts from Gbongogo. I always butcher the name. Gbongogo Main and to Gbongogo South. Fantastic. I think that should really impact the resource update and potentially the economics of the Koné project overall. Really looking forward to an update there later this year as well. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe.